Welcome back, travelers, to Legendary Lore, where today we are going to see what happens to a bunch of planeswalkers as they are now trying to get to Phyrexia. Last time we saw Kaito, the Wanderer, and Nahiri. Now we're basically going to see the rest of everybody who isn't Nissa and Luca.
Okay.
So, basically it starts off with Elspeth and Kaya. Elspeth is fighting off a ton of Phyrexians. Kaya shows up, and she just starts taking everybody out.
With her axes.
Yeah.
She has them now, right?
Yeah, at this point she does. She also kept her mohawk.
Ooh.
Yeah, so she's gone full Captain Marvel.
Okay.
So basically what happens is that they go through this, the two of them are going along the Mirex. So they're on the second layer. So the first layer was the monumental facade. The second layer is the Mirex. That's where they landed. And so the three of them, by three of them I mean Pompon, the Tanuki drone, which was with Kaya for some reason, and then Kaya, and then we have the Elspeth. Three of them. They're going through the whole.
How does Kaito planeswalk without the Tanuki drone?
Because he has a spark.
Okay, but doesn't the Tanuki drone also give a spark?
The Tanuki has a spark too, apparently. It's the spirit of the spark.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Kaito has his own.
Yes. So essentially, they're technically two planeswalkers. Sort of. It's weird. It's kind of like the whole way that Will and Rowan Kenrith share a spark. They both planeswalk together, but like they haven't shown one of them having to like planeswalk on their own.
And this one basically we're getting confirmation. Yeah, they can do it by
They
themselves.
can probably do it themselves. Yeah.
Okay.
They would just be connected in some capacity.
Not the Kenriths. I mean Kaito
Yeah.
and the Tanuki.
Yeah.
I don't know about the Kenriths.
Anyways,
You know, if they came to Phyrexia, we could just fuse them together. They wouldn't have to worry about having two.
that is absolutely horrifying.
Would it be? It would solve a lot of problems.
I don't like the way you're looking at me, Joe.
That's what it's all about, solving problems.
Cool. Anyways, so what we see here is that Elspeth and Kaya, they go through this whole deal, and they get to the Phyrexian, to the Mirren camp, which they think at first, Kaya's like, is it Phyrexians? I see a lot of tents over there, a lot of people, could be Phyrexians. And Elspeth's like, they don't need tents. the Phyrexians, they don't do that sort of thing. And she's like, okay.
Sleep.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, they go and they find the Mirrens, and the Mirrens are there, and it's like, okay, cool, we made it. And Elspeth hears a very familiar, deep voice call out her name, and she's like, oh my gosh, an old friend. It's Koth.
Ah!
And Koth just runs up to her, grabs her by the waist, and swings her around in a hug.
That's awesome.
It's such a nice moment because, of course, these two characters have gone through a lot. Elspeth is made of trauma. Koth has lived in trauma the entire time he's been here, defending his home. And this is like a glimmer of like joy for the two of these characters.
Elspeth just lost to Johnny.
Yeah, they both, and like she lost to Johnny. Koth knows that Venser is like what's happened to him, and Koth hasn't had anybody there. He's just losing people left and right. He takes those little joys he can, but think about how much it must wear on a person. So, essentially, Koth is there.
At least he can take joy knowing that Venser's, better now.
I would not say that calling being a flesh puppet better would work.
It's a better purpose.
So basically, what happens is that Koth is there, Elspeth is there, Kaya is there. So is Tyvar and Jace. Tyvar is there, and I love Tyvar so much. He's so cool. He's a cool guy, and so Tyvar's there. Jace is there, of course, and he's like, "Hey guys, we're all here. We're good now." And then Kaito's there with
Something
Nahiri.
happened to our main green-black planeswalker. He could take the main green-black identity.
I honestly think that could fit. I think he'd be great for a green-black planeswalker, and they eventually give him a good card that isn't based on creatures. Because I really need to put him in my Planeswalker deck. And there's no creatures in my Planeswalker deck. But that's beside the point. You see, so basically...
Kavu tokens.
So basically what ends up happening is that the characters, they all meet up. And they're all happy. And they're like, what about Nissa and Luca and the Wanderer? And they're like, the Wanderer's bouncing all over the place. Nissa fell into this like weird tunnel. Like this weird tunnel just... And it's like sucked her into another area. And then Luca has been AWOL.
That's as expected for Luca. They can't write character for him, so he's just missing for now. Like, we've seen them try, like, 3 times. They can't write character for him.
It's true. It's pretty bad. And Vraska's also missing. They don't know where she is.
Oh, no.
Exactly. So basically, all these characters are stuck in this scenario. They're trying to figure out what's going on, and they're formulating their plan. They're gonna have essentially they have Koth, who's part of the demolitions team, who's going to just blow stuff up to get them through. And then they're gonna have Elspeth, who's kind of like a vanguard kind of thing. Kaya and Jace are the two main people, the only people that really know how to use the Silex. Kaya learned how to use it from Teferi, and then Jace learned how to use it by scanning Kaya's mind.
Did you see the comment on our legendary lore?
Which one?
What if Teferi went to Zalfir?
Yes, that was a really interesting idea.
I like that theory.
It's a good theory. It's a really good theory. And we might see something like
If that is where he went, that would essentially close out his story.
Well, we're going to see something with the last episode.
Oh.
That tells us where he actually went and where he ended up.
He's in Phyrexia.
So, basically what happens
A better place.
is that Kaya and everybody else, they all just kind of join up. And what's cool is that they actually show the Silex at this point, the filigree Silex. So it's just this really fancy looking thing. I don't know how it's supposed to hold anything. Blood, sweat, tears, oil, whatever it might happen to be. It doesn't really make sense that it could fit into the bowl without falling through all the different holes in it. But you know, that's just how it goes.
Once you're completed, you don't need blood.
Boy. So basically they are introduced to a new material. Basically what happens is, you remember how in the Glimmer Void there were these hexagonal plates that made up everything, the floor. Well, in that, what they would do is that they would harvest those things. They pick up the hex plates, and then they cure it with Blink Moth serum.
Blink Moth Nexus.
Yes. So Blink Moth are essentially these, like, not necessarily mythical, but they're these magical insect-like creatures that you can squeeze for serum, and people would take the serum as a way of being able to like see the future and heighten their senses and stuff like that. Venser had a problem with Blink Moth serum during his time, but essentially what happens through all of these different actions is they created a thing called Hex Gold. Hex Gold is naturally repellent of the Phyrexians.
That sounds problematic. I mean, awesome.
So basically what would happen is, like, if you had Hex Gold armor, then you would be able to just let the oil like roll off of you and you wouldn't become infected. The problem
Like
with
never
that...
wet.
The what?
Like never wet.
Yes. But the problem with that is that obviously Hex Gold isn't going to be readily plentiful. These people are rebels. They're trying to survive. So you can't just make a bunch of Hex Gold armor. So what they do instead is they basically use it like a whetstone. And they just get their weapons and then they put it against the Hex Gold to get the actual like shavings on it. They do the same thing with their armor. And so that's why all the stuff they have looks golden. And the weapons have that blue glow to it because it's like charged up.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's why the Mirrans have like a distinct look this set, where all of them wear this like a lot of gold and they have that blue glowy bits to them.
Blue and gold.
That's also why we have characters that are referred to as Gold Wardens, because they have a lot of hex gold that they're using to defend a large number of people, such as Jor-Kadeen. So basically through all of these different interactions, Tyvar's like, hey, can I borrow some of that hex gold? Do you know why he wants to borrow some of that hex gold?
Because he's an alchemist.
Essentially, yeah. You see, earlier, Kaya and, not Kaya, earlier Nahiri and Kaito had actually met Tyvar. They saw him. And they thought he was a statue at first because he was covered in rock and there were a bunch of Phyrexians attacking it. That was Tyvar's introduction because he also got sent to the Mirex and he was really confused about where he was and what's going on.
It's like, I'm being attacked.
Yeah, pretty much. And he was just like completely solidified so he could take as many hits without being infected. And then once they showed up and he was safe and he was like, oh, cool, okay.
Back up.
So yeah, he actually did try to hit Nahiri, and Nahiri's like, no, bad. So
You're that unusually attractive elf guy. Yes?
Thank you. So yeah, Tyvar's basically, he's like, okay, give me some of that hex gold if you can. And they're like, yeah, sure. And so he just has a plate of hex gold on him. Because all he needs to do basically is touch something and it can become it. Right? He can just cover it in whatever he wants to. So now he has essentially the ability to give himself hex gold armor. Just by... And then...
Is that what the instant is?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yes.
I love it even more now.
Okay, I don't know if you decide to put up the instant because it's kind of a spoiler.
Yeah.
But that's up to you. But yes, Tyvar, and even if you look at just his card, Tyvar the Brawler, you can see the hex gold plating on his side.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, it's so cool. And the thing is that Tyvar's character is shown to be a little bit more complex than it was originally. Because originally he was just like, there will be stories told about us. I'm going to be super awesome and heroic all the time. Like that was just his deal, right?
Yeah.
But that was before he had character development from Kaldheim. Because by the end of Kaldheim, he realized that while stories are like the main thing that are important, because then they're like the scouts can sing their songs.
Yeah.
It's more about the actual saving of people. That's what's really
Just
impactful.
save one.
Yeah, it actually really though. And so that's what Tyvar is like really like on is at the moment is he wants to be able to save people. He wants to save the multiverse. Yeah, there's going to be songs sung about it, but that's the key. That's the key ingredient of what it means to be a hero. Not all the accolades. It's about the actual people that get saved.
He went from do things that people will sing about to save people if they sing about it good.
Yeah, exactly. And so at the same time, Elspeth and Koth, they're talking and they're like, yeah, the Phyrexians are bad. And it's going to kill us. And it's bad. And Elspeth's like, you know what? I'm a hero. People call me a hero. I don't want to be a hero, but that's what I am.
She's wrong to underestimate Phyrexia.
So basically what happens is that all of these characters are figuring out what they want to do. And Nahiri's becoming increasingly aware of the fact that that bone on her neck is getting worse. And the thing is that she's extremely strong. Nahiri is an incredibly powerful character. And as a result, she's able to resist the Phyresis better than basically anybody else could possibly do it. She knows she's infected. She's the first person out of the group infected. And she's like, you know what? I'm not turning. This is
I refuse.
Yeah, and really
what she doesn't know is you can't refuse Phyrexia.
Sure you can. Malira can heal him.
Nah. We'll get her.
What?
They'll get her.
Why?
Because they need to.
Well,
all needs to be one, Ricky.
But
all will be one.
No?